Welcome to my presentation. My name is Dorian Kojas, student ID 4400000859, and today I'll be sharing insights from my Module 1 Sprint 8 assessment. Specifically, I'll discuss a project from my OneDay MBA program, focusing on the development and launch of my wife's empowering book, Assured. This project has enabled me to explore critical themes such as validation, product market fit, and the practical steps required to mitigate risk in a new business venture. Let's dive in. The foundation for this project is extensive research. Using my curated Zotero library and the OneDay MBA AMA tool that Phil and I created, I accessed over 300 additional scholarly resources, ensuring the insights and strategies presented today are deeply informed and well supported. In approaching this project, I've applied principles from my favorite strategy book, Warlords, specifically focusing on simplicity and economy of force. These concepts help ensure clarity, efficiency, and maximum impact in every venture I undertake. For those interested in exploring further, I've included a link to my peer-reviewed article on this strategic approach. This project leverages the Lean Canvas framework, with every sector carefully viewed through the lenses of simplicity and economy of force, ensuring focused, actionable strategies. Additionally, I've reframed the traditional problem sector as struggle, reflecting deeper, more impactful challenges that customers face. We'll explore this in greater detail shortly. This entire project started with Jody's powerful hunch that many women struggle profoundly with self-doubt, imposter syndrome, and toxic workplace dynamics, which traditional resources inadequately address. I know this firsthand because before she wrote the book, we walked countless bookstores and thoroughly searched Amazon for anything similar. There simply wasn't one. Based on this insight, Jody authored the book Assured and developed accompanying premium services. My primary objective now is to support and drive the sales and success of both the book and these high-value offerings. As a quick reminder, the objective of this project is clear: successfully launch the book, Assured, and the related premium services. It's important to note that Jody had already started creating both the book and these services before I stepped in to support their market launch. As I just said, when I joined the Assured project, some key elements were already in place. The print and ebook designs were complete, and distribution was set through Ingram, with these formats actively available through the website. However, there were also significant pieces that were still only planned, such as audiobooks, training courses, and in-person speaking engagements. My role would involve moving these critical components from concept into reality, fully preparing them for market launch. To effectively structure and prioritize our efforts, we utilized a publishing pyramid model. At the base are our entry-level offerings, like the print and ebook or audiobook versions of Assured, which were already underway. Moving up the pyramid, we have increasingly premium, high-touch products, including audiobooks, training courses, and speaking engagements, all of which were planned but still required careful validation before fully committing resources. To de-risk this publishing model, we introduced new foundational layers: validation and beachhead support. Leveraging the principles of simplicity and economy of force, we strategically selected the simplest, most effective methods to validate market interest and reduce risk simultaneously. In short, we sought the easiest way to confirm our audience's demand, laying a solid foundation for the entire publishing pyramid. This structured path clearly moves us from reinitializing validation, since Jody's previous validation wasn't documented thoroughly enough for my purposes, through establishing a firm market beachhead and ultimately toward launching our high-touch offerings. In the next slide, we'll dive deeper into how this roadmap guides our strategy, Our roadmap emphasizes not only planned actions, but also structured reflection points, allowing us to continuously evaluate and adjust our strategy. Our immediate goal was clear: validate Jody's concept with about 50 engaged beta readers. However, as we'll soon see, identifying and reaching that initial beachhead market proved significantly more challenging than we anticipated. Here's a quick check-in on our lean canvas, highlighting exactly where we are in the process. Moving forward, we'll systematically examine each segment, always emphasizing our core principles: simplicity and economy of force. Let's continue. In our approach, we intentionally shifted our focus from addressing mere irritations or temporary problems toward tackling deeper, persistent struggles. Irritations can often be ignored. Problems like headaches can typically be patched, quickly solved by buying aspirin. Struggles, however, are ongoing, emotionally charged, and deeply impactful, making them something people are willing to invest in resolving. But there's a critical assumption here: our audience must believe what we believe. Validating that belief alignment became a crucial next step. Here's why we've reframed the problem as a deeper struggle. Inspired by Simon Sinek's influential book Start With Why, and supported by extensive research, we understand that people buy emotionally and justify their decisions rationally. We believe women face profound, ongoing struggles at work, not just isolated problems. If we can find a beachhead of people who share this belief, who resonate deeply with these emotional truths, we just might have found our audience. Pause my presentation here and take the time to read this so that you understand our problem as struggle statements, our beliefs. We began the validation process with simplicity in mind. We gave Jody a QR code on her phone that linked to a sign-up page for empowered insiders, tied directly into Pipedrive. Then we let her do what she does best: talk to women in business. It worked. Fast. In the first month, 30 women opted in, putting us more than halfway toward our goal of 50 contributors. But here's the rub: opting in and actually contributing are two very different beasts. That distinction reshaped how we thought about engagement and validation. Let's shift now to formalizing the customer segments. Here, we define our 3 core customer segments. First, the beta readers, our empowered insiders who help shape the book and validate the concept. Then, the book purchasers, growth-minded women looking for practical, empowering guidance. And finally, the service purchasers, DEI or HR leaders, looking to create healthier workplace cultures. You'll see in a minute why we needed to get especially clear on these segments. It became essential as we worked to expand our reach. Even though our validation market, the beachhead, won't directly pay the bills, they play a crucial role. These are the true believers in the Eric Hoffer sense, the ones who carry the torch early and help signal whether we've struck a chord. But it's not just belief that matters. These insiders need to closely match the demographic and psychographic profiles of our broader book-buying audience. And just as importantly, they must represent the kinds of women our service purchasers want to reach through workshops and keynotes. This is where economy of force becomes essential. We can't afford to treat these segments as silos. Our strategy depends on designing a system where each segment necessarily influences the others. The validation audience helps convert book buyers. Book buyers signal market traction to service purchasers. And service purchasers, if and when we get to that point, could very well fund the entire operation. By aligning these interdependencies, we build an ecosystem, one that maximizes impact without spreading ourselves too thin. Here's where we are now, moving from audience definition into the next phase of engagement and testing. And of course, filling out the canvas. The value proposition. Our unique value proposition is deliberately focused, not flashy. It's rooted in simplicity, cutting through noise with clarity and economy of force, doing only what delivers disproportionate value. Assure doesn't promise vague empowerment. It delivers practical insight to women who feel unseen or stuck. And for organizations, it's a way to finally engage those women meaningfully, without wasting time or budget. It's sharp, specific, and emotionally resonant, and that's what makes it powerful. Let's move now into how we tested that value proposition in the real world. Here's our solution. I won't walk you through it. Just pause the video here if you'd like to read it in detail. What matters most is its design. Simple, efficient, and ecosystem-driven. The real test, though, is ahead. Can we build a channel robust enough to support it? At this point, we're about halfway through the canvas. Now we shift our focus to channels, the systems we'll need to build to actually reach and support this ecosystem. Reaching and engaging our beta readers seems simple. We thought we knew what we were walking into. Spoiler, we didn't. I've got over 30,000 connections on LinkedIn. So, easy, right? Not exactly. Turns out, only 18% of them are women. And once again, opting in and actually engaging? Two entirely different beasts. Was LinkedIn an efficient use of force? Absolutely. Was it simple? Ha! Not even close. We don't have time to get into the trials it took to land on this tech stack, but here's where we ended up. It gave us what we needed to execute. Mostly. The biggest unexpected problem? Women. Or more accurately, men with names that might be women's. With only 18% of my LinkedIn connections being actual women, our lists were constantly polluted. We filtered and cleaned and filtered again. And still, a few slipped through. Not ideal when you're trying to validate a product for women, and do it simply focusing on that whole economy thing. This is where simplicity officially left the building. We had to string together LA Growth Machine, Appify, Twitter, Google Sheets, Make.com, OpenRouter, and ChatGPT, just to build a clean targeted list. It wasn't elegant, but it worked. We grew from about 30 opt-ins to nearly 1,000. That includes everyone from Keep Me in the Loop folks to nearly 50 who are actively reading chapters, and some even completing surveys. Not bad for a stack held together with duct tape and ambition. Conversations with our list are ongoing. Only a few people have questioned why a guy is emailing women about beta reading a woman's book. But when it's come up, we've handled it with calm, clarity, and a bit of charm. Getting women to opt in was one thing. Getting them to actually read and respond to chapter drafts, that required a whole other layer of tech. Most of our readers prefer audiobooks, so we had to make sure our delivery method, BookFunnel, could handle both audio and ebook chapters. And the cool part? We're using my other OneDay MBA project, deepfeedback.ai, as our AI-powered survey engine. It gives us structured, actionable feedback from what would otherwise be open-ended chaos. This is the full sequence. Email systems, CRM, tracking, delivery tools for both ebooks and audiobooks, and our AI-powered survey platform. At this point, simplicity is laughing at us. But economy of force, still intact. Every piece here is doing exactly what it needs to. Nothing more, nothing less. This is definitely hitting the cost structure. This is our future forward plan, what we call a SWAG, scientific wild-ass guess. Think of it more as a placeholder than a prediction. We'll get there when we get there. The only thing we're certain about is that we'll test, validate, toss things out, and rethink constantly. Measure 10 times, cut once. Let's shift gears now and talk about revenue. How we plan to turn this ecosystem into something sustainable. Here's the full range of our revenue streams, from basic entry-level content to high-touch services. For each, we've mapped out the channels, potential campaign strategies, and initial sales goals. We'll get into the nitty-gritty numbers and benchmarks when we dive into the KPI numbers a bit later. Now that we've covered revenue, let's look at the other side of the equation, our cost structure. This is our current monthly cost structure. Every item on this table has been selected with two principles in mind: simplicity and economy of force. We're only paying for what directly supports validation, engagement, and feedback. No fluff, no vanity spend. This lean setup is what drives our KPI targets and keeps us accountable. I don't even get to put lunches or Friday beers on here. Beyond our operating tools, we also account for cost of goods sold, things like printing, distribution, and fulfillment. These aren't just back-end logistics. They directly impact our monthly bottom line and have to be factored into our KPI models moving forward. With costs covered, it's time to look at how we're measuring progress. Let's talk key metrics. This is the heart of where we are right now: engagement, not just opt-in. Our key metric is whether women are actually reading, responding, and investing their time. Because that's the only proof that this solution truly meets a struggle worth solving. Every piece of this canvas, every segment, every cost, every campaign was built to bring us here. And true to form, we've followed simplicity and economy of force at every step, focusing only on what moves this needle. Take a moment here and on the next slide to really absorb what's on screen. These are numbers, dense by design. This funnel ties directly back to slide 11's second reflection point and will either credit or discredit everything we've built, measured against the break-even point for our monthly expenses and the cost of goods sold. This is our base sales model, and it's the foundation we'll test, refine, and reflect on as we move forward. I know this looks like a lot, but here's the lens. This isn't complexity for its own sake. It's clarity. This model tells us exactly what it takes to break even, factoring in product mix, costs, and conversion ratios. And those ratios, they're not random. They're based on well-documented, research-backed industry benchmarks. This is simplicity and economy of force working together, not to predict the future, but to give us a disciplined way to measure if we're on the right track. This brings us to the final section of the canvas, and like earlier, it's another swag. We've grounded everything so far in strategy and validation. Now we're stepping into what comes next, knowing it's still evolving. This is where it all ties together. We believe the solution we've presented genuinely matches the struggle we set out to address. And we've done it by keeping the ecosystem simple, lean, but layered. We've used economy of force to stay focused, investing only in the assumptions, segments, and channels that needed validation. Everything you've seen is designed to answer one question: are we solving a real struggle for a real audience in a way that's worth scaling? That's where we are. And that's what comes next. We believe this is our unfair advantage.